Prime Minister, what do you make of the sacking of Robert Jenrick by your opponent Kemi Badenoch?
Well, my question is, why did it take so long? Jenrick's been making toxic comments to try and divide our country for months and months and months. And it's only now, when he's on the verge of defecting to reform, that Badenoch gets round to sacking him. So that's weakness on her part. There's a bigger story here, because we're seeing a flood of Tory politicians, ex-politicians, politicians going across to reform because they know that the Tory party is a sinking ship. Equally, from Reform's point of view, you've got Nigel Farage, who is welcoming these failed politicians into his ranks and building his party as a party of the politicians, Tory politicians, who let the country down so badly. Meanwhile, this Labour government is taking on Grok, which is doing disgusting images of women and children, taking them on and not tolerating what they're doing, because we're driven by our values. We're not going to be put off by big institutions, big companies. And today we've had figures out showing that waiting lists are down in England again, and that the economy is turning a corner with better growth. So whilst we're delivering for the country, they're self-obsessed, looking only at themselves.
Picking up on Grok, do you think they are going far enough? And in the last few days, you've made some supportive comments about a social media ban for under 16s. Where are you on that?
Well, let me take both of those issues. On Grok, those images, sexualised images, were disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And we made it clear that we wouldn't tolerate them and that we wouldn't back down. So I am glad that action has now been taken, but we're not going to let this go. We will continue, because this is a values argument. It's about vulnerable people, with a government that stands with those vulnerable people against very rich companies that have weaponised these images. So I'm really glad that we've got to where we've got to, but it's a real statement of intent and values so far as I'm concerned. On social media more widely, we need to better protect children from social media. We're looking at what's happening in Australia, but there are, all options are on the table in relation to what further protections we can put in place. Whether that's under 16s on social media, all options on the table, or an issue I'm very concerned about, which is under 5s and screen time. And we're the first government to take action in relation to that, because children are turning up at school aged 4 to reception, having spent far too much time on screen. So across the board, we will take further action to protect children.
On the postponement of some English council elections, if that was happening abroad, you would say that was the front of democracy. Isn't that hypocrisy, double standards here?
Well, what is happening is the biggest reorganisation of councils for 50 years, and it is only right that we ask whether it's sensible to elect people to councils that are actually going to change in their composition in a few years' time. But the government is not taking the decision on this. It's down to individual, locally led decisions, and different councils have taken different positions. Some Labour councils have asked for a delay, some Tory councils have asked for a delay, and a Lib Dem council. So it's a local issue, but what sits behind it is this common sense question of whether it makes sense to elect people to positions when the council itself is going to change in a very short period of time.
Finally, for the pool, just one more. Do you think the West Midlands Chief Constable should resign?
Well, been very clear. The report is damning. The Home Secretary made absolutely clear yesterday in her statement to Parliament that she has no confidence in the Chief Constable. Unfortunately, the last government, the Tory government, took the power away from the Home Secretary to sack a Chief Constable. Otherwise, that step would have been taken. But I do say it's time now for him to reflect on the fact that the Home Secretary has made her position so very clear.